G'day, that slot car guy here. Welcome back to another slot car review. And yes, it is Thunderslot's turn, and it's the McLaren Elva Mark 1, the Elvis Presley car. Was it driven by Elvis? Did he just sit in the car? I don't know. Let's find out together. And also, we'll run it around my latest layout. Yes, I've changed the track. Let's see how good this thing goes around it. And also, I'll give some details on my giveaway that's up and coming, because I do want to get it right. So stick around, full box and dice. Let's get it done. Let's check out McLaren's Elva Mark 1. Welcome back to another slot car review, and yes, it is Thunderslot's turn. Finally, I can do the review, and it is McLaren's Elva Mark 1. A beautiful looking slot car, but there is a little bit of a debate about the driver in the car. Now, I believe that is Elvis Presley, and I'll read the back. It is the McLaren Elva Mark 1, Can-Am Elvis Presley car number 5, 1965. Say that 20 times quickly. Now, you would notice I have actually damaged the case. Unfortunately, it did fall off my shelf behind me prior to doing, obviously, the review. The car's okay, the driver's okay, it was just the case has copped a bit of damage. Now, you're probably thinking, who is Thunderslot? Well, they are an Italian company, so you expect some quality. And there's some quirks on this car that I will point out, and it gives it a bit of a different feel. And I'll get into that, because there's a car beside me that this feels very, very similar to. So, let's get stuck into it, and of course, the full bells and whistles. We'll do a close look at the livery, we'll do a tear down, we'll test the motor, and then we'll put it around my latest layout, and I'm fingers crossed it goes okay. And also some more detail on the giveaway on one of these cars. So, let's get stuck into the livery first. So let's take a close look at this beautiful McLaren Elva by Thunderslot, and they've done an incredible job on the body. And straight away, this is actually quite light, so I will weigh it as part of the teardown. But let's have a look at the side profile on this. And these tyres on the front are most definitely smaller than the rear. I love that. Nice big fatties on the rear and the nice small tyres on the front. But I love how they've printed them with the Goodyear print on the tyres. And that 4-spoke is beautiful. Really good looking rim on this car. Good job. And as you can see on the paint itself, it's got a real high metallic. In my hand, this thing is shining like there's no tomorrow, so hopefully the camera's picking up. But that gold is one of the beautifulest executed paint jobs I've ever seen on a slot car. They've done a really good job. Let's have a look at this front windshield, windscreen style. I like how it's continuous all the way around, like the real car. And they've also printed on what appears to be the rivets or whatever is holding that window in place. Really cool looking detail they've added on this. And of course, they've put the single revision mirror in the center so the driver can see behind him, and then the spare tire is underneath the windshield itself. Of course, these guys are doing lap after lap after lap, so they're carrying a spare. Now let's flip around and look at the driver first, and this appears to be Elvis Presley, and I did say in the intro, this is an Elvis car. So Elvis, did he drive this car, or did he just setting it for a photo shoot? I don't know. A lot of the forums I've read, we all don't know. But he's wearing a blue helmet, black visor, and black gloves, and yes, he's definitely a half-size figure. Now, you'll see the body's coming off a bit because I have undone it to show you when we do the tear down, but I actually love that touch. It looks really cool. Detail on the side here, we've got a fire extinguisher and another little item just in the passenger door well. Around to the front, those massive arches are incredibly executed. Look at that. And the shine you get off these are really, really cool. Air holes cut in, they're actually active air holes, so I like that touch. I do love active aero. Around to the front, these lights are inset into that panel beautifully. Just flawless. That is just a beautiful job by Thunderslot, how they've just inset that perfectly. The other thing I do love about this car, and I think is one of the best I've ever seen, is the separation between the colours. That red pinstripe, and I'll try and zoom in, is minute, but is done so well to separate the white and the gold. Absolutely beautiful, and of course some more cut-in arrows on the front. Those two little air scoops are cut in, as well as these little gaping noses on the front of the car. Unfortunately, that black piece uses the paint and bit of black part of the body itself. It's not active aero, it's not doing anything for the car itself, but it looks incredible. Around to the driver's side again, because the passenger is exactly the same. We've got a nice little bit of silver touch, different from the white on the front. But there's also a shopping list down the side of drivers, and one of those drivers is definitely Elvis Presley. Now, I can't read the others, it's very fine writing. I have read some forums where they say it is one of them is Bruce McLaren, but it's very hard to read that. So if you do know who those other two drivers are, and I will zoom in, but you won't be able to see it. Very hard to see. Right beside the 5, right on that bend of the door, where the shine is. But definitely Elvis Presley's on there. Let's move around to the rear. Love that roll bar just above the top of the head of the driver, and of course the top of the engine or the motor. Looks incredible. Nice little, I think the exhaust pipe outlets on top, or manifold. Yeah, they'll be manifold work, I'm guessing, to go around to the rear, out the back exhaust pipe. So nice bit of manifold work, but I can guess that's these popping out to the back. Really cool. Nice little touch. Those little bits of, let's say, photo etched mesh I can see from here. So a nice little bit of quality touch to that. Really, really good. But look at that shine. And those arches, you can see them perfectly on top now. Incredible job by Thunderslot. And of course, the beautiful back of the car with that following white line all the way down. So really, really well executed slot car here by Thunderslot. I'm really impressed with this body. Looks incredible. But let's go inside. Let's have a look at what is inside this car, because there's a couple of different quirks I need to point out prior to buying one of these, because I actually like them. Really, really cool. So let's do the teardown and then we'll get stuck into the hot lap. So I removed the shell from the chassis. It took 3 screws, but you will need to know you'll need a star head style screwdriver prior to purchasing one of these if you want to tear it down, which of course you will. It's not a Phillip head and it's not a flat head. So these use 3 of the star head style screw to hold the body down. And there's a couple more of those on this body holding the motor pod down. So you will need one of those definitely if you're purchasing this Thunderslot car. Now let's move the chassis first. Quick look inside the shell. A nice one-piece cockpit, very small, very light. Appears to be photo etched meshing on the rear, which is really, really cool. Nice little bit of quality touch, but a very, very light shell itself. No active lights in this thing, but it'd be great to see this thing with some lights on it. But what a beautiful, look at that. This is the shine on this thing. Now the chassis, there is some points I want to make on this chassis, because again, some unique choices made by Thunderslot, especially with the screws. Do I care? I think those screws are okay. Let's talk about the motor first. Now take a quick look at the motor, how it's positioned. Now you might, don't adjust your screens, that is on an angle, very slight angle. So this is a sidewinder with a very slight degree angle, and I'll see if we can see it underneath. Might help a bit more, maybe not. But this is on a very slight angle. So it is I'm going to call this a sidewinder. I'm not going to call it an angle winder. And we're talking about a March 21, a 21,000 RPM motor running at 12 volts. So my Carrera 14 volt power is going to love this motor. The pinion, we are running a 11 tooth pinion, which is plastic, and the spur gear is a 32 tooth plastic spur gear as well. So the components on this thing are pretty cool. Good looking chassis, very basic looking chassis, but it is a 2-piece. We have a removable engine mount section in the middle. So I believe, and I'll see if I can find out prior to posting the video, you can change the center mount here for an inline, an angle winder, or a sidewinder. But I will try and find the information out prior to posting, because it was a little bit tricky to find info on this car. Magnets, there is no magnets on this car, but yes, they've made parts for magnets to be put in. You've got 2 little clip-in sections here, little bar magnets that clip in, and one behind the motor. So if you want to run magnets, you can, but on this car from factory, no magnets at all. Of course, no active lights. Now the tyres are another talking point. Now I did try and find out the compound. They do feel like a urethane style tyre. As you can see, front and rear are definitely different. Rear's got a nice shine, being I'm guessing it's urethane. Please hit the comments if I'm wrong. And the front are a different compound, but we don't care about the fronts with slot cars. And as you can see, that's very much raised off the ground. So these just touch the track itself. We don't want the fronts to engage much at all. This is just for stability on the car. The action happens at the rear on this car. So again, definitely different compounds on the front and rear, which I think will help the performance. Let's flip it upside down and have a look at those other screws which are holding this engine motor mount in. So you can remove that 2-piece chassis. And of course, another talking point is this beautiful guide. Very unique shape. I like how it's got a rounded nose and a rounded rear with this little shark fin style. Now, if you do run a Carrera track and you hear a clicking noise, that is your guide on your Carrera car clicking around the track, hitting the sides on corners. Very rare now that guide is a very big guide on the Carrera car, but you will get clicking noise from that guide. This may, I'm going to say may, take that away. So I'm excited to see how this will perform on my track. But what a cool looking guide. Alrighty, so let's weigh the car first. Let's then test the motor of this car, see what the downforce is, and then let's throw this around my new layout. Alrighty, so I've put the car back together so we can weigh the car in its total weight. I've zeroed out the scales, and let's find out what this thing weighs. And we're looking at 61 grams. So that's a seriously light slot car. Now let's check the magnetic downforce of the motor by using the SRC's UMS. And of course, I've zeroed out the scales. And let me try and find the center of the motor. And we are looking at 3.38 grams of magnetic downforce. So there you go. Now this is exciting. The first car to be tested around my latest layout. So let's see how fast the McLaren can go around my track. So how did Thunderslot's McLaren Elva Mark 1, driven by the king himself, Elvis Presley, perform around my new layout? And yes, this is a new layout, so it's going to take some time for me to get used to it. And I think, and let me know in the comments, this is a little bit more challenging. That new Laguna Seca S corner, I think, is a lot challenging than the old flowing S. So let me know in the comments. But I did do a 1429 with this car. Let's tick it off though. We are magless, we haven't touched the car at all, there's no truing or taping of the tyres. This is straight from the display case to the track, and I think that was pretty damn good. And this car is extremely light, so magnets will help the performance of this car if you wanted to do that. I have read some comments on some forums where truing these tyres on this exact car will perform better. That's a definite yes. Any car that you true the tyres on, which is sanding of the tyres, creating a nice flat even surface and lowering the profile, will make the car perform a lot better. This was stock, so I'm very impressed with that. I will run a board for mag and magless 132 and 124 in fairness of testing, but we'll love your feedback on the new layout. So a 1429, extremely happy. Do I recommend Thunderslot? Yes, I do. I think it's one of the most beautiful slot cars I've seen, but the design, the effort that's gone into this car, I'm extremely impressed. And some of the quirks, I mean, the screws, I'm happy with those. Just get the screwdriver. The guide, absolutely loved it. I don't think I heard any clicking on my track, and I'll replay the video obviously and listen back, so that took the clicking away. That slide angle on the motor, does that make a difference? I don't know. Let me know in the comments. But these tyres could be trued down, and that's what I see the benefit if you get this yourself. True these tyres straight away. But other than that, I'm seriously impressed with Thunderslot. 100% Italian made, beautiful looking slot car, and it performed really well. But as always, at that slot car guy on Instagram and on YouTube. Now, this giveaway I'm going to do, I will do a random subscriber giveaway. There is a machine that I've found, or a device or plug-in on YouTube, which will just scroll through my subscribers and go, bing, you're the winner. So I will do that very soon. But please share the videos. The more subscribers and views and likes I can get, the more I'm going to purchase and give away, because that helps me help you guys. The more watches I get, of course I enjoy that, but I do want to give back. So I'm definitely doing a giveaway very soon, and I want to do one at least a month I can, every month, if I get the subscriber base that I need to support that. So share the videos, share the love, keep on racing, and as always, at that slot car guy, take care, ciao.